I'd like to call the Wheat Ridge Planning Commission for the August 7, 2014 to order, please. May I get a roll call of members?
Silka Pop.
Present.
Thank you. Amanda Weaver.
Here.
Emery Dorsey.
Here.
Scott Ohm, absent. Steve Timms.
Here.
Alan Bucknam.
Present.
Ann Brinkman, also absent.
Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May I get a motion to approve the order of the agenda?
I'm not sure. You can ask the chair that. I'm sorry. I'd like to approve the order of the agenda. Move to approve the order of the agenda.
And I'll second it.
Have a first and a second. Any discussion on the order? Call for a vote, please.
Motion approved, 3-2. 2 abstentions.
It's just for clarification. I think it's for the order of the agenda. Not for
Order
the
of the
meeting
agenda,
minutes,
not
so-
the vote of the minutes. You want to redo that, or should we just call it 5-0? Are you okay with that?
Yes, okay.
Okay, 5-0.
Now we'll have a approval of minutes for the July 17th, 2014 meeting.
I move to approve the minutes from July 17th.
And I second it.
First and a second on the floor for that. Any discussion regarding those minutes? Okay, I will call for a vote then on that, please.
Motion approved, 3-0, with 2 abstentions, Weaver and Pop.
So the next item on the agenda is the public forum, the time for any person to speak on any subject that does not appear on the agenda. Do we have anyone signed up for anything? Okay, thank you. Yes.
If I want to speak on something on the public forum, do I need to recuse myself now or for next meeting?
That's a good point.
Very good question. Is it for some general item? Would it be more appropriate for you to show up at city council as a resident?
It might be.
That's,
It does have to do with a planning issue, so,
okay. I think city council.
okay, thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you for that clarification. So tonight we do have one public hearing item. That's case number MS-14-02. This is a request filed by Patrick Stanley for approval of a subdivision plat with right-of-way dedication for property located at 12,000 Ridge Road for an RTD commuter transit station. And before we have staff presentation, just a little everyone can understand the process. We'll have staff present the case. The planning commissioners then will direct any questions that the commissioners have to staff. After that, the applicant will have a chance to add any additional items or present any additional information. The commissioners then will address questions to the applicant. After that, the case is open up to the general public, and you're welcome to come forward if you wish, either speak in favor or in opposition to the application. We will close the public hearing, and then the commissioners will make a motion, second that motion, have a discussion, and then a vote. So we should know by the end of this evening a vote, and it's only a recommendation. City Council has the final say on this particular application. So with that in mind, we will open this case up, and staff has a presentation, correct?
Correct. Good evening. For the record, Meredith Recker, Wheat Ridge Community Development Department, and joining me at the staff table is Scott Brink, who's the Director of Public Works, who is also available for questions if you have them. So this is a request for approval of a subdivision plat for property at 12,000 Ridge Road. I'd like to enter into the record the case file and packet materials, zoning ordinance, and the contents of this digital presentation. The property is located within the city of Wheat Ridge, and all correct posting and notification requirements have been met. Therefore, the commission does have jurisdiction to hear this case this evening. So this is just a quick aerial photo of the property taken in 2014. North is to the top. Just to help orient you a little bit, we've got 52nd Avenue up here at the north portion of the site, and then Ward Road over here on the western side. 50th Place extends east from Ward. It's now going to be renamed to Ridge Road to help identify the station. And so having said all that, again, the applicant is requesting approval of a 4-lot subdivision to accommodate the Wheat Ridge Ward Road commuter line rail station at 12,000 Ridge Road. Because there are right-of-way dedications associated with this application, Planning Commission will be providing a recommendation to City Council. And I would also note that special use permit application is being reviewed by staff, as public transit stations are a special use in the industrial employment zone district. So the property is located within the very northwest portion of the city of Wheat Ridge. And as a matter of fact, if you look at this aerial photo, 52nd Avenue as it runs right here, Wheat Ridge is on the south side with City of Arvada on the north. And also the same situation with Ward Road. On the eastern side of Ward is the city of Wheat Ridge, and then the western side is unincorporated Jefferson County. In 2004, the Colorado voters did approve the expansion of mass transit across the Denver metro region. The $2.2 billion project is comprised of the East and Gold Rail lines, commuter rail maintenance facility, and the Westminster segment of the Northwest Rail line. The Gold Line, which extends from Union Station to Wheat Ridge, is about 11 miles. And it does have 7 stops on it, including 3 within the city of Arvada. And then the end of line station will be the one in Wheat Ridge that we're discussing tonight. Oops. So this is a copy of the same aerial photo, and the different colors on it represent the zoning in the area. The station location is generally within this area and is zoned industrial employment. There also is a little bit of mixed-use commercial TOD, and it is surrounded by a variety of land uses and zonings. Immediately to the east is a residentially zoned alpaca farm, and then just beyond that is a residential neighborhood zoned R2. To the southwest, are parcels zoned IE. Directly west of the site are parcels zoned industrial employment and also mixed-use commercial TOD. Some of the property is currently developed. Much of it is underutilized, being industrial types of uses with a lot of commercial storage going on and so forth. Let's see. This is a rendering of the proposed station layout. Again, north would be to the top, and with 52nd running up here. 50th Place, which will soon be Ridge Road, comes in from Ward Road and dead ends on the western perimeter of the site. But you can see the general layout. Really, the only proposed structures are accessory to the rail line, and those include a driver relief station, electrical and mechanical room, storage space, and a screened equipment area. There will also be 2 kiosks and 2 canopies located on the plaza and platform areas, and also includes irrigated landscaping throughout the site. Lighting will address both pedestrian and parking lot lighting, and then of course there will be signage associated with the development. Several streets are being extended and or built with the project. That would include construction of Ridge Road, which was formerly 50th Place, I keep having to say that, which will extend through the site on over to Tabor Street. This is Tabor right here. And also the construction of Taft Court, which will extend from the TOD site up all the way up to 52nd Avenue, of course, which is up here on the very north end. And again, staff is in the process of reviewing a site plan as part of their special use permit. So RTD has been able to acquire several parcels through purchases from area property owners and also with some court proceedings in order to assemble the development parcel that will ultimately be the commuter end-of-line station. The overall platting area that we're looking at with the plat is about 9 acres. However, ultimately, after all the right-of-way dedications occur, the site itself gets down to about 6 acres. And since the development is not only comprised of several parcels and portions of other existing parcels, a plat is required to subdivide and then consolidate all of those individual pieces into the ultimate development site. And again, right-of-way is being dedicated by this plat, and then there are other portions of it which are being dedicated by separate instrument. This is the first sheet of the plat. It's typically what I call the declaration page, and it includes things like the legal description, signature blocks, and notes regarding the different tracts and zoning on the site. This is the second page, and what I've done is rotated it so that north is to the top. So what you're looking at in your packet, really, you'll want to turn clockwise, 90 degrees. So in this particular slide, the north is up at the top with 52nd Avenue. Again, the 50th place, which will be Ridge Road, comes in from Ward Road and will be continued through the station over to Tabor Street. The plat does show 4 lots. There's 1 lot to the north of Ridge Road and 3 on the south side. The northern lot corresponds with the parking lot improvements, and then 2 of the lots on the south encompass the vacant landscaped area, the plaza area directly adjacent to the street, and then the other lot contains the plaza area, the ticket kiosk, and so forth, including the bus pull-through lanes and the driver's relief station. There is an existing easement that you can see in this location, which formerly accommodated the Gold Line, which serviced the Jolly Rancher site. And also within that alignment is also a 20-foot wide sanitary sewer easement. And both of these easements are no longer needed, obviously, because the property is redeveloping. And so they will be vacated separately so that those property owners didn't have to participate in the plat document. As I mentioned previously, there are right-of-way dedications with the plat. And so this is the same view that you had previously. Again, north is to the top with 52nd Avenue up here and Ridge coming in and dead ending at the station site. The blue designates the right-of-way that's being dedicated by the plat, and so that does include the extension of Ridge from where it dead ends on the western edge and goes all the way over to eventually align with Tabor Street, which will be over here, and then the north-south street that's being constructed and dedicated with this document is Taft Court. So that's the vertical piece that goes from the station site up to 52nd Avenue. As I indicated, there are several parcels that are going to be conveyed to the city as right-of-way by separate tract. That includes this piece right in here, which is under ownership of the folks, the Hanses, who own the llama farm up here in this location. And again, that's being dedicated by separate instruments so that the Hanses didn't have to participate in the plat document. So, this was sent out through our standard referral process. All of the agencies contacted can provide service with improvements installed at the developer's expense. Valley Water can serve with improvements installed by the developer. Fruitdale Sanitation has already done a sewer mainline extension that's been installed in Ridge Road. They will require an additional main to be constructed when Taft is built, and that's the piece that goes from the station up north to 52nd Avenue. Arvada Fire can serve, and they have asked that streets which are not, the portion of Taft Court which is not being used for on-street parking be marked fire lanes. Wheat Ridge Public Works has reviewed and approved a final drainage report and a plat document, and XL Energy can serve. So having said all that, staff is giving a recommendation of approval for 3 reasons. First of all the requirements of the subdivision regulations have been met. The plat will facilitate construction of the Gold Line end-of-line station. Utilities and other agencies can serve the property, and we have included one condition, and that is a subdivision improvement agreement with a cost estimate and surety be executed at the time of recording. So that actually concludes my comments, but I would be happy to try to answer questions if you've got those.
Thank you for that presentation. At this time, we'll begin questions to staff from the commissioners. Starting with Commissioner Pop, any questions for staff?
Not at the moment.
Okay. Commissioner Dorsey?
No, I was over there the other day, circled the whole area, and it looks like it's all under construction, so there's a lot of heavy equipment in there and everything, so it looks like it's going forward.
Okay.
So I have
Questions at this time? Okay. Commissioner Weaver, any questions for staff? No? Commissioner Bucknell? Yes.
Just one question about that recommended condition on the motion. Could you go into a little more detail on what the scope and purpose of that subdivision improvement agreement is? Thanks.
Anytime we have a subdivision plat, it gives obviously the city an opportunity to assess the property and whatever the development is for public improvements. Usually those are related to street construction improvements, installation of curb gutter and sidewalks, sometimes streetscape elements, and then also sidewalks. And SIA is something that the city, and Scott, correct me if I'm not hitting all the right points, is a document that's entered into between the city and the developer that lays out those expectations about when the construction of those public improvements occur. It also includes a cost estimate of the different components of the requirements, and then I believe it's a letter of credit is usually provided with that to ensure that those public improvements take place. We don't have a lot of problems with people defaulting on those, but sometimes developers have different expectations about when things need to be done, and so it kind of lays it all out about when things need to occur. Scott, any? Okay. Does that answer your question?
Just 2 quick questions. One is, this proposed subdivision, no variances would be needed for any construction?
Not with this piece of it. Now, the SUP document, which is more of the site planning
Right.
document, we do have a couple variances. Those are both related to a light pole height within the parking lot. Because it's not a planned development, it's straight zoning. It's supposed to follow what's in the zoning code, and our maximum height for street lighting, parking lot lighting, private lighting is 18 feet, and I believe they're going up to 22 feet. So, but that does not impact this document.
Okay. And then my other question is, I know that we're not here to talk about the actual site plan, right? That's a special use permit. If anyone's interested, what is that process? And if someone wants to come and take a look at more
Right.
specifics about that,
Well,
what is that?
actually, both of the files are public records, so folks can come in and look at the files. We've had a couple people do that. With the special use permit application, it actually starts out administratively, where we have once staff does our review and we're satisfied that all the requirements have been met, we go out on a 10-day noticing. And if people have the ability to comment in writing, which then determines at what level we can approve it. We actually concluded the noticing period on Monday, August 4th, and we did not receive any objections regarding the application. So I'm inclined to think that we will be approving that administratively.
Thank you. Okay, thank you so much. At this time, does the applicant wish to come forward? Can you just come up and just state your name and address, and then we'll see if we have any questions in for you.
My name is Jason Beekler. I live at 3837 Perry Street, Denver, Colorado, and I'm here representing the design aspect for Floor HDR, which is a sub to DTP, which is a concessionaire for RTD for the Fast Tracks program,
Okay.
or Eagle P3.
Questions for the applicant? Commissioner Bucknell? No? Commissioner Weaver? Commissioner Dorsey? Commissioner Pop? I do have one question. Because this is the end of line station, are there any unique attributes associated with this particular plat that would be different than, let's say, at, you know, the Arvada Ridge or Arvada Old Town or Sheridan, et cetera?
Not in particular. The right-of-way isn't, RTD's right-of-way isn't platted. We're platting for the station itself. So I don't think anything at the end of the line would dictate anything different on that. So all the elements that would be associated with an end of the line are in the track right-of-way and not at the station itself.
Okay. All right,
I'm sorry.
that's fine. Okay, thank you so much.
Yep.
So at this time, we will open it up to any members of the public that wish to provide any comments. Okay. Okay. And you certainly don't have to come forward. You're certainly welcome to. If you don't want to come forward and produce any comments, you can let us know. I have no comments or so forth. I do have one person signed up, Dorothy Domagala. Is that no comment? Okay. And does anyone else in the audience wish to provide any comments on this particular case, this subdivision case? Okay. Before I close the public hearing, any additional questions that the commissioners have for staff on this? Okay. So with that, I will close the public hearing and open for any discussion or any motion among the commissioners.
I move to recommend approval of case number MS-14-02, a request for approval of a 4-lot subdivision plat for property located at 12,000 Ridge Road for the following reasons. Number 1, all requirements of the subdivision regulations have been met. Number 2, the proposed plat will facilitate construction of the end of the line Gold Line commuter rail station. Number 3, utility districts can serve the property with improvements installed at the developer's expense, with the following conditions. Number 1, a subdivision improvement agreement be executed with a cost breakdown for public improvements, installation, and surety at the time of recording.
Second?
We have a first and a second on the floor for approval with a condition. Any comments on that motion? Okay, seeing none, then I will call for a vote.
Motion approved, 5-0.
And Meredith, just to clarify, this particular case then is going to City Council when?
I believe it's August 25th. Does that sound right, Jason?
Okay, okay, very good. And they'll make the final then decision at that case, okay? Thank you so much for coming in. We appreciate you all taking your time out of this evening, okay? So besides that, then we open up to any other items from staff?
I really don't have any updates, other than if you've been following City Council on 38th Avenue, they were given the go-ahead by City Council to start talking to property owners. Obviously, the election is occurring in November, and that really is kind of the make or break to determine how quickly we have to move forward. But we have some pretty strict deadlines that we need to meet in order to keep the funding the way it is. I don't know if you want to add anything on to that, Scott?
No, I'll just add that if per the referendum in November, the project is authorized to go ahead, we're under a very tight and aggressive schedule to actually start construction. The city charter requires construction to start within 1 year of approval by the council, which I believe was their action back on July 14th. So that's part of the reason we're moving ahead with discussions with the property owners on temporary easements, driveway access, combinations, those kinds of things, because come November, if the project does move ahead, yeah, we're going to be going full steam on it, so a real tight and aggressive schedule.
Are you referring to the dealership? What tract? I'm sorry,
38th Avenue project, the permanent streetscape improvements from
Okay,
Yeah, actually from Upham to Marshall, Newland, one of those, that area there, yeah.
And for our viewers at home and for me, because I'm still a little unclear as to what exactly the issue is. I know council hasn't drafted the final ballot language, but what exactly is being, what's the gist of what's being voted on in November?
The action would be to go ahead and move forward with constructing the permanent improvements, taking the temporary pilot project out there, if you want to call it that, and then actually constructing the improvements that have been reviewed by the council. These would be the concept preliminary plans that were put together by the consultant that did the work and went through a public process, since about December last year, culminating this past June, July.
Great. Okay.
And we have a street section established there, which calls for narrowing the street, moving the curbs in from where they are now, and that's the main reason we have to take the council action and going to the referendum is the street width is changing. So per the city charter, that's what's being required here.
Okay, thank you.
and is the sort of plan for all of that just available online? Is there a link that's sort of front and center, or where can people find that?
Yeah, I believe all that information is online, and I know the concept preliminary plans at a minimum were part of the council packet
Okay,
back in, I believe that was July, June, so that's all available online.
okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any staff business tonight? Do we have cases for next time?
Yes, we actually have two cases. One was a continuance from July 17th, I believe, so 2 residential projects. So that would be for the August 21st
Okay.
date.
All right.
And then just one more update from staff. I'm not sure if if you knew Wade Sanner, who was our planner one. He also resigned to take a job in the Northwest. And so now we're down 2 planners, it's Lauren and I. So we do have 2 folks hired who are out of state, and hoping we can get somebody on board really quick. But it'll probably be the end of the month, so you'll be seeing some new faces.
All right. No more comments then. I will entertain a motion then for adjournment.
I move to adjourn.
Second?
Okay. Call for vote, please. Okay. Thank you very much.
Record time.